Hello, my name is Reed Mosby, and this is my game, The Adventures of Pete&Toby. The game is a two-player 3D cooperative platformer. The game takes a lot of inspiration from games like Spyro, Banjo-Kazooie, Gex 2, Enter the Gecko, and more recent examples like Yooka-Laylee, and the most relevant example, Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. While the game may be similar to a lot of the titles on here, it has one key feature that none of these titles contain, which is split-screen co-op. While Brothers may be a cooperative game, it uses single-player co-op instead of two-player co-op. Players will be controlling one of the two playable characters in the game. There is Pete the Turtle and Toby the Penguin. The game will be shot from a third-person perspective and use split-screen. The gameplay mostly revolves around getting collectibles, platforming, using both players to complete puzzles with enemies scattered throughout the map. Just like any 3D platformer, this game will have all the standard actions such as run, jump, and attack, as well as a few I added myself, such as the grab mechanic, which allows you to manipulate physics objects either to complete puzzles or to defeat enemies. There will also be a swim, but the swim will act differently depending on the character you're playing, and each character also has their own special move. For instance, for the swimming example, Pete will only be allowed to swim on top of the water, while Toby will only be allowed to dive underwater. And as far as special moves goes, Pete will be allowed to retract into his shell. While he is in his shell, he will be unable to receive any type of damage, but he will be unable to move. Toby will also have a slide, which he can use to defeat enemies and slide into places that Pete would not be able to fit into. Each player has a set amount of hits they can take before they are down. Pete can take 4 hits, Toby can take 3 hits. The players will have a set number of lives. If one of the players dies, and there is no more lives left, it will result in a game over even if one of the players is still alive. Because this is a co-op game, it relies on both players for most of the puzzles. So if one player is still alive and there's no lives left, then it still results in a game over. As far as enemies go, you will have your standard enemies, enemies that can fire projectiles, larger enemies, and special enemies. The way to defeat these special enemies is by using physics objects. You can find physics objects throughout the map and you can roll them down a hill to defeat the enemy. However, if Pete retracts into his shell, Toby is actually able to kick him, and you are able to kick him into the special enemies, which will defeat them. However, special enemies will not be defeated so easily, as they will come back after a certain amount of time. Every time they come back, they become increasingly more aggressive. This forces the player to choose when to engage these enemies and when to leave them alone. As far as development risks go, there is of course scope, but I plan on mitigating this by using a hub world. Now, I don't plan on making an overly complicated hub world, more like a hub world from Spyro. This hub world will contain all the mechanics found in all the other levels, so at the very least, if we can at least get the hub world done, we have a playable demo that we can show everybody. And this has been my game. Thanks for watching.